we got that going. I'm going to get recording going in Zoom.
Awesome. I want to give our students a heads up that for those of you who are part of Mentorship Masters, we'll be doing our first one-day retreat in October, where Knolly and I will be doing an intensive success mastery training live with hot seats and panels and all kinds of fun stuff. So for those of you who are a member of Mentorship Masters, look forward to the announcement of that. For those of you who have yet to join Mentorship Masters, reach out to me or Knolly after this call, and we'll share more about Mentorship Masters for our realtors. And also remember the Knolly YouTube channel. I promised Lakanya I'd post the recording of last week's class, which was a game changer. So I'll get that in the chat. And we got all of the archives of our past 6 months. Knolly, can you do this? We've been doing this for 6 months.
A long time, man. It's a long time. And Artemis and I are actually meeting physically today, this afternoon. And so we're going to be talking about a lot of things, the future of Knolly Success Coaching, and then the live events. The live events are going to be phenomenal. Of course, those are the Mentorship Masters events, but we'll have slots open for other people. Right now, we got to keep them small, but soon, I mean, our vision this year was really to get out there and be doing a lot of big events. We were going to do an event every single week. Remember that, Artemis?
Yeah, in Dallas, San Antonio, Houston,
Yeah,
El Paso. We're going to go all over Texas and just
yeah.
teach.
But
And
we said, okay, COVID. I see where you're coming from. So we condensed it down. We're doing it right here. We're streaming right into you because we don't want to stop the momentum. We have the Dominion Project, we call it, and we're from a real estate standpoint, we're growing a massive army of about 40,000 real estate agents all across that are Christ centered, and they love God and they love success. They love being their ultimate greatness. So, by the way, if you're watching this and you're not yet part of our Knolly Success Coaching, it's super easy to join. Just go to knolly.com. Okay. It's easy if you can spell my name, Knolly, KNOLLY.com, and just sign up right there at the top of the page. Absolutely free. We coach you for free. And yeah, we've been doing this for 6 months. Has it been 6 months, Artemis? Are you
March,
sure?
April, May, June, July, August, September.
Dang. Yeah. Well, it's beautiful.
Almost.
And by the way, how many of you guys are implementing what we're teaching? Because I will say this, if you implement what we teach, that's when you're going to get the breakthrough. That's when you're going to get the result. Okay. Be not just a hearer only, but a doer of the word. Okay. That's scripture. So let's talk about this. So why Lead Generation Secrets Masterclass? Now, you guys remember when we talked about this is the 8 pillars of success. We've talked about this before. I've done classes with you guys on this. This is actually something we put together for Mentorship Masters, but this is what we call spiritual business mastery. And at the very top of it is mindset. And right next to that is,
No, Uncle Nolly, start at the center of the circle.
yeah, the center of the circle is really the most important.
Yeah, and then the 4 bodies, and then the 8 pillars, because it all starts with the center.
Yeah, and actually, if you go even further in, you can see that there's a question mark. You guys can see that. There's a question mark right here in the middle of you. So it kind of starts right there. That's your big why, your purpose. Why are you here? What are you doing here? If you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there, right? So why are you here? Why were you put on planet Earth? Okay. Why were you put on planet Earth? There's a reason why you were put here. And what from that reason, everything else kind of spreads out. See? So that's your big why. This is the you that is you outside of your big why, because everybody has a little me and a big me. Okay, write that down. Write it down. I have a big me and a little me. Now, the little me wants to play small. Okay, we released something on Facebook. One of my quotes that I like is, nobody benefits from you playing small. Nobody. The God that you serve doesn't benefit. Your family doesn't benefit. The people that are counting on you to lead them don't benefit. You don't benefit from it. Okay, nobody benefits from you playing small. Nobody. Okay, and so you were sent here to play a role. Are you playing that role to your fullest degree? So that's you, not the little you. Oh, I'm scared. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to get on video. Turn off the camera. Oh, I don't like the way I said that. I'm not going to post that on YouTube. No, no, no. That's the little me. We came to see the big me. The big me says, man, I look crazy. I tell you, the other day, I usually break out when I eat like peanut butter or like nut butters. So I went kind of crazy eating up some pecan butter. Ooh, I'm telling you, it's so good. And I got it's all organic, it's good stuff, but there's a such thing as too much of a good thing. I probably ate half the jar. I ate half a jar of that stuff. I mean, it's so good. I might go get the jar, show you guys what it's got. Artemis. It's a nut butter, but it's got pieces of crystallized ginger inside of it. Have you ever seen a nut butter like that?
No, it sounds delicious. I mean, ginger is helping you digest all that fat. Of course, the real question is, why were you craving a nut butter, and why did you overeat the nut butter?
Hey, that's enough. We'll talk about that at 4 when you do my examination. But I will tell you, I started breaking out. And it's like, oh, I better not do videos. I got a couple of pimples here. If y'all can probably still see them, I got one right here. I can see them when I look down. I said, bloom like that. But hey, I'm not gonna let that. That's the little me's like, oh man, you just broke out. You can't do a video today. No, I'm doing video, baby. We're doing video. Well, you forgot your hat. Well, we'll do video with no hat. It doesn't matter. Okay, that's the big me. The big me wants to come out and play and be who you are. And then from that, you got the 4 bodies. You got a spiritual body, a mental body, physical body, and an emotional body. And then from there, you go out and you play the game. Okay, you play the game. So when you talk about lead generation, that's the number one activity of anybody in business. Okay, Knolly Success Coaching. We've got a lot of real estate agents here because I happen to be a real estate agent. But when we created this, I noticed that a lot of my seminars, even though they were real estate related, I'd have people come to them and they say, "Man, I can use this in my business." You know, people that were in other industries. So we created Knolly Success Coaching as kind of an experiment for any business, any entrepreneur, any business owner. And so this is stuff that you guys can use. Now, when I came up with the lead gen secrets, this is a 12-week class that I taught for my mentorship masters. So if you're in mentorship masters, go back. It was 12 weeks, 12 hours of training, okay, on lead generation secrets. So, and what that was I went through this book right here called Triple My Listings. Because here's the thing, people are always asking me, how do I get leads? How? Okay, notice the preface of that question, how? Now, you remember the training balance scale. Well, we talked about that 99% of it is the what, only 1% is the how. The how doesn't matter. Okay, write that down. The how does not matter.
Okay, 99% is the why, the motivation, and the
The
dream.
why.
You said the what, yeah. So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
why, the motivation, and the dream, which is really the compelling force, the purpose, the drive to do the lead generation.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So 99% is the why, and then 1% is the how. Or maybe could we restate the how as the what, Artemis?
Absolutely. Yeah, the how, the what, the strategies, the techniques. But
Yeah.
it's interesting, most of us focus more on the how and the strategies and techniques than the why and the purpose.
Yeah. When I used to teach, I don't have my book here. I used to teach short sales, and I would teach agents how to succeed at short sales. And the one question they're like, "Well, how do I get them?" And see, it never occurred to me that I've never had a problem lead generating. This is a what I call a superpower. Write this down. What is my superpower? Question mark. I was interviewing a guy this week. I said, "Man, what's your superpower?" He's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, what's your superpower?" Like everybody has a superpower. Remember the quote that says, "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life thinking that it's stupid." Okay, everybody has a genius. And this is what Roger Hamilton asks when he says, what is your genius? What's your zone of genius? What is your superpower? Well, for me in business, my superpower has always been, or one of them has always been lead generating, big superpower. And so I missed the idea or the thought that other people don't have that superpower. I'm like, what do you mean? How do you get leads? Dude, the leads are everywhere. The business is everywhere. You know, I used to have a teacher, he'd say, Knowledge, money's everywhere. All you got to do is like taking a net and you just dip it down and you just scoop up. The money is everywhere. We live in a multi $7 trillion every single day. Maybe not right now during COVID, but generally $7 trillion a day is moving through the marketplace. Is any of that falling in your lap? 7 trillion. Okay, that's 7,000 billions every day moves around. Okay, it's not that hard. But for some people, if it's not your superpower, I get it. And that's why I'm here to help you today. So I'm just going to share 5 thoughts with you guys. So pay attention. Then we're going to do a Q&A. Okay. And there's one thought that is probably the most interesting. Okay. And I'll share with you what that is. So first, what I want you to write down is lead gen is the number one skill you can master in business. Lead gen is the number one skill that I can master in business. See, we have to master skills. When you're in business, you've got to become a master of skills. Okay. Grow your skills, close more deals. Okay. You got to be a master of skills. And I see a lot of agents, real estate agents. I see a lot of business owners. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small business owners that have not skilled up. The skills are slack. And I know it because I always test people on their skills. We ask probing questions. Just like if I'm trying to see, are you a Republican or a Democrat? I might ask you a couple of questions. You bite on the bait. I'm like, oh, that guy, we could talk about this. Or are you pro wearing a mask or are you against wearing a mask? We talk about, I throw a little hook out there and I see what your stance is on it. Are you into the healthy living or you like junk food? There's a lot of stuff like that. And by the way, I'm a master too at taking healthy food and chunkifying it. Artemis is working with me on that. But the lead gen is the number one skill. If you have and Artemis tells me all the time that I take it for granted that I've done 30 years of work and research on how to generate business, how to generate leads. And so I just take it for granted that everybody's done that work because it's like, well, you're in life, aren't you here to live? You chose to come here. You're not here by accident. You made a choice, a conscious choice to come to Earth. Oh, Nolly, I just came out. Well, that's what my family tried to tell me. My family members told me I was an accident. I mean, this is God's honest truth. I'm just being real with you. This Uncle Nolly talking to you. I was told that I was an accident. I was not supposed to happen. I'm not an accident. That's what you thought. But Uncle Nolly was coming to planet Earth. I had an agreement to come here, and so did you. Okay. Most people don't understand that, but the reality is you chose to come here. Why don't you go ahead and choose to live while you're at it? So the number one skill that you can have is lead gen. Why is that number one skill? Because lead generation, that skill has bailed me out of many, a wrong decision. Okay, wrong decision. I used to teach classes and I would tell the students, I say, they come up with all these excuses. Man, I'm this and that, or this isn't working. And I say, you know what? You guys are hitting me with a lot of problems. But if you took 5 listings today, or you took 10 listings today, this week, all your problems would be gone. Okay. And so I've gotten myself into different problems that have led me into bankruptcy. They've led me into foreclosure. I had to foreclose on one of my properties, or I chose to, I should say. But the reality is because I'm able to go back and generate tons of leads, it's bailed me out. Okay. So lead gen is the number one skill you can master in business. So if you're not mastering anything else in business, start to master that. And that's the reason why when you look on the 8 pillars, I put lead gen or activities, okay, which is really lead generation, number one activity, as the second pillar. Mindset is really number one, because if you don't have the right mindset, you're generating deadbeat leads. You're generating the wrong kind of, because see, what you put out is what you get back. What you put out is what you attract, what you get back. Okay. So if you look at that life that you're living right now, that's the life that you created. So high five yourself, thank yourself for the life that you created, good or bad, or your perception of what bad is. Okay. Just, you created that. You can also uncreate it. That's another good thing. So number two, remember there's 5 things I'm going to share with you. We talked about early on that there were 3 secrets to really unlocking the game and living uh, at the highest level and making it effortless. Okay. How do I make my journey effortless? See, living doesn't require a lot of effort, guys. Okay. When you came here, you already have the tools that you need within you to live the life that you're supposed to be living. It's not hard. Oh, living is hard. Somebody told you that. You might believe that. Your subconscious might have attached itself to that ideology, but the reality is living is easy. See, Jesus said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." It ain't nothing, right? And so the reality is, life should be easy. Now, if life is hard for you, you've got some self-limiting beliefs, you've got some blocks, you've got some mindset issues that could help clearing. Now, I talked about 3 things when we first kicked this off. Cousin Artemis says we clicked this off 6 months ago. 6 months ago, and I gave you guys 3 1-hour lessons on these 3 things. I'm going to remind you of what they are. Number 1, to make this journey easy and effortless, you got to become famous. Okay, this is reminder time. You got to become famous. Now, it's been 6 months. How many of y'all have become famous? I want to see in the chat. Have you worked on becoming famous? Remember, that was my number 1 thing that I told you that you should be focusing on. Okay. Well, Knolly, how do I become famous? There we go again with the how. And I love to teach how. Why? Because I'm a steel lord.
Well,
When
Uncle
you,
Nolly, I actually did teach how the past 2 videos.
I know
So
you.
if they want to know how to do it, just go to the YouTube channel or
Yeah.
watch my past 2
Now,
videos.
and that is true because how is so much fun for us to teach. But the reality is all we can do is teach you how we did it. Okay. There are other people that have done it different ways. And so it used to be interesting when I would be on panels. Um, I have an uncanny gift. This is God, this is spirit, but I have an uncanny gift at being in front of a room and sensing the Holy Spirit speaking. Okay. And so a lot of times when I'm on a panel, man, sometimes these panelists ask, I mean, the moderators ask the dumbest questions, and I can see the audience. Like Artemis will tell you, my people would say I work the audience. I don't work the audience. I become one with the audience. That's what I do. We're on the same wavelength, okay? And I can tell right away, man, Nolly, your stuff is boring. Now, one disadvantage I could tell you about Zoom is that I don't focus on you guys. But for some reason, when we're in a room, this happens. It's pretty amazing. Anyway.
This is why they have to come to one of our retreats so they can be in the
Oh
present.
man.
But
Oh
the
man.
mastermind effect is so much more powerful.
Yeah. So the first thing we talked about was to become famous. The second thing we talked about was do the 2. Okay, do the 2. We're talking about making this effort, making lead generation effortless and easy. See, lead generation is easy. You should be able to generate more leads than you can stand or handle, and that's how your business grows. Every business should be on a trajectory, in my opinion, to grow from I to we to they. You go from I do it to we do it. That's a team. To they do it. That's a business. That's a real business. You don't really have a business until you could say they do it. Okay. And then number 3 is get a mentor. Okay. That's the reason we created Mentorship Masters. We saw that 87% of real estate agents fail in the business. 87%. But if they follow, I know for a fact, if people follow what I tell them to do and they say what I tell them to say, they can't fail. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to fail. The only reason they're failing is because they're not doing what I tell them to do, period. Now, those are the three things that I taught. Okay. Before that, I think I taught on how to navigate around COVID and this kind of thing. But here's what I want. Here's a question I have, and this is a question you ask yourself: have I become famous? Am I working on becoming famous? Okay. Am I doing the two? That's 2 hours of lead generation every single day from 9 to 11. Am I doing that? Okay. And then number three, do I have a mentor? Remember, those are three fundamentals that I told you guys. This is the foundation. If you're building a house on anything but those three, it's time to start over. You know, we know about bad foundations in our business and what they can do and wreak havoc on the end product. Okay. So that's the second thing I wanted to tell you. The third thing I want to tell you is very simple. There are only three activities around lead generation. Who can tell me what those three activities are around lead generation? Some astute students of my book here, or if you've read Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, another great book. Who can tell me what those three things are that you're allowed to do?
Bueller, anyone?
Let me see. I'm gonna leave the chat open for about 20 seconds.
Yeah, chat below. Who can tell us the three basics of lead generation?
Yeah, there's three things. During your lead generation time, you're only authorized to do three things. What are those three things? That's the question I'm asking. See, these are basics, guys. And when somebody comes to me and they're not hitting their ultimate greatness, you know, their ultimate greatness, be consistent. That's good. That's a good principle, but it's not one of the three things that you can do during lead generation. Okay. Remember, you guys should be doing lead generation. Everybody within the sound of my voice should be doing lead generation every morning from 9 to 11. Every one of you. Okay. There's three things that you're allowed to do. Follow up. Yeah. Anita says follow up. Do the two, focus on the three buckets, make lead gen number one. That's good. Select your audience. That's good. Call your SOI. Okay. So again, teacher to student, you guys are not absorbing this. These are what you guys are telling me is specific things to do, but let me just share it with you again. Okay. Now you should know this, guys. This is stuff that you shouldn't have to, this is where you call, what do you call this, Artemis? Unconscious competence, or what do we call that? Artemis.
It's the challenge we have as teachers, because there's so much information coming in every day. We stay superficial with things and we try to so we have to go deep in certain areas, which means we have to slow down and eliminate the noise so we can go deep. So it's like, that's the challenge that we're experiencing. And why we're here every week is to remind people of these basics and principles and tell a bunch of stories in between to increase belief.
Yeah, see, the stories are for your subconscious mind, by the way. Yeah. Nana, did you have something to say? I see you're unmuted. No, I'm muting you, Nana. If you have something to say, unmute yourself, and you guys can jump in and quote interrupt me. I'm never interrupted. If you got something to say, just blurt it out. That's how my classes are. Man, we got people yelling stuff from the back, and people are raising their hands. I'm like, why are you raising your hand, dude? It's not like I'm gonna call on you. You think I'm not like a regular teacher, you know what I'm saying? This is Uncle Knolly you're talking to, you know? My family members, they just get up and start talking. You think I'm oh, hold on, guys. Regular teacher, you know what I'm saying? This is Uncle Knolly. Okay, here we go. All right, so I got something else. See, I was stalling to give you guys. Lolly Ann, I like that, Lolly Ann. You got it. She says you should have your snacks, use the bathroom, close the door, and lead generate. I love it. Okay, so here's three things that you guys are allowed to do. Okay, generate new prospects. Okay, number one, generate new prospects. Follow up with existing prospects. Okay, create and implement marketing plans. Those are the only three things you can do while you're doing the two. And this is stuff you guys pretty much know. It's just how you articulate it. So you can generate new prospects, you can follow up with existing prospects, and you can generate and implement marketing plans. That's it. Okay. So if you're sitting down and you're doing the two, because here's the reason why it's important to understand that. when you're sitting down and you're doing your 2 hours of lead generation every day, okay, a thought will come into your mind to keep you small. See, the small self doesn't want to do this. The little me doesn't want to be great. Here's what the little me wants to do. The little me wants to come to Project Earth, okay, wants to come to planet Earth, wants to land, come out, be mediocre, average its whole life, and die. That's all the little me wants to do, and keep you safe in between as it defines safeness. The big me wants to shine. The big me wants to be bright. The big me wants to be famous. The big me wants to reach out and help others. Okay. That's the big me. So what will happen is when you're in your lead generation time, you'll say, man, I need to do this, or I need to do that. Well, does it fall within one of the three criteria? I got a closing at 10 o'clock. I'm closing on a house. Well, why would you be closing a house at 10 o'clock? That's not one of the three things you can do. Oh, I'm going to go do, no. I'm going to go on a listing appointment at 11. Okay, that's cool if you're done with your lead generation, but a listing appointment is not lead generation. You already got the lead. That's done. Okay, so this is the reason you have to know what you should and should not be focused on during that time. That's the how we're talking about. All right, so the fourth concept I want to talk about is the fact that most people actually, we already talked about this. Most people get bogged down in the how. Okay, stop doing that. Most people get bogged down in the how. And if you could just, at some point, you get your subconscious mind to understand that the how doesn't matter. You'll get a call that just says, hey, we've got 3 deals we want you to be part of, or we've got a business thing over here that we want you to be in on. Okay. Because you're attracting this to yourself because you're living your ultimate greatness. You're living the life that you're supposed to be living. Okay. So that's the fourth one. And then the fifth, which in my view is the most important, maybe, you judge for yourself. Whatever is most important to you is what's most important to you. And that is, in order to make it fun, okay, in order to make what fun? Lead generation. Because lead generation is fun for me. I love it. And lead generation to me is like a good series. Have you ever seen a really good series on Netflix where you just wanted to binge watch it? You just wanted to just watch it for every season. I mean, we watched Downton Abbey, my wife and I, and it took us a while to get invested in the characters. But I'm gonna tell you, that's a long series. You know what I'm saying? And you got
see me?
What's that? Oh, we got somebody else with our. Here, let me. Okay, yeah, I had to mute somebody else. So here's the thing, guys, and that's another thing I like about live events, Artemis. They can't get distracted. You got Uncle Knolly at the front of the room. You ain't getting distracted. Nobody's falling asleep. Nobody's on their cell phone. All iPads are gone. There's no people are. I see people come to my events. I remember one time I was in Vegas, and I was doing an event. A guy flew me in. He wanted me to speak to his top agents. Okay. And I think he had 250 agents, and it was like the top 20. And so they were, just no lie, Artemis, I walked in the room, all of them were like this. Every single one of them. There might've been one that kind of knew of me and was like, yeah, hey, what's up? But everybody else was like this, man, who's this fool? Who's this cowboy coming up in here trying to teach me something? And the reason is because at the time I was teaching about distressed property, and Texas was 1% distressed, whereas Nevada, the area where I flew in to teach, Las Vegas, they were 20+%, like they were like 50% distressed, something like that. Crazy. And so they were like, man, this guy didn't even know what we're dealing with. But within 15 minutes, it was funny to watch it. It's when you're in the front of the room, write this down. Write this down, guys. You can change the world from the front of the room. You can change the world from the front of the room, okay? But what I want to say was, when you're in the front of the room, it is amazing to watch the Holy Spirit work. If you invite the Holy Spirit into your meeting, some of y'all don't. I do, okay? He's, the Holy Spirit goes with me everywhere. And so, or I go with him, I should say. And so here we were within 15 minutes, they went from like this to like this. They were on the edge of their seats and they were just eating up everything that God was bringing them. I wasn't bringing them anything, they were eating up what God was saying. And so, so anyway, that's another reason, because people get distracted. I know I do it on webinar. I was on a webinar before this one. Man, I'm going out, going to the bathroom. I'm going and getting me a smoothie. We get distracted. So this fifth thing, this is the fifth idea, last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, and then we can do some Q&A. And if not, we're done. To make it fun, it's got to be fun, like that series. Now, there are series that you guys binge watch, and some of you guys do this with lead generation. You go 6, 7, 8 hours and you just do nothing but lead generation, because if you finally get in your head that it's important and then you go nuts, it's like, no, that's not what I teach. A good series that you want to binge watch, but you only watch 2 episodes. What's that do to you?
It makes you hungry for more.
Exactly. There's 100 episodes, but you're disciplined and you say, honey, we're going to watch 2 episodes tonight. And how did the episodes end? Somebody tell me, how does an episode typically end in one of these
Cliffhanger.
movies? Cliffhanger. There he is. What's a cliffhanger? Now, write this down. This is real good stuff, guys. Write this down. Hard stop. HARDSTOP. Hard stop. Okay. That's how you do your lead generation. When 11 o'clock comes, boom, you're done. But I'm right in the middle of, man, I was just on a roll. Yeah, you was on a roll, but you're done. You had 2 hours. See, here's what this does for you. There's a couple things it does psychologically. One, you get in high gear when you get into your lead generation bunker, when you know you only have 2 hours. Okay, we're not lollygagging. We're not wishy-washy. We got 2 hours to get her done, and you are on mission. How many of you have ever gone on vacation? Have you ever noticed that you get a lot of stuff done the day before your vacation? Has that ever happened to you, where you get like a week's worth of stuff done, or you get like 3 or 4 days worth of stuff done the day before you go on vacation? See, this is what lead generation is about. And this is why we call it do the 2, right? Somebody's laughing. Anita says, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, Anita, you know what I'm talking about. Sham says all the time. Yeah, you guys know what I'm saying. Well, you can make your lead generation that kind of experience and that kind of productivity every single time if you practice what we call a hard stop, a cliffhanger. Like as Bradford said, a cliffhanger, to where you say, okay, it's 11 o'clock. Man, I was just about to make this call that I really wanted to make because I know this guy's going to convert, but it's 11 o'clock. I got to do that tomorrow. So what happens is when you wake up the next day, you can't wait to get in and start doing your lead generation again. Why? Because you left it on a hard stop. Very important. So to make it fun and effective, okay, you must lead generate to your personality profile. Okay. This is what most people miss. And I think this is probably the most important thing I could tell you, is that you must, I don't know if I like that word must, but I highly recommend that you lead generate to your personality profile. What does that mean? Well, Artemis teaches the 8 profiles with spirit being that there's 9 profiles actually. And then I teach a lot on the disc, which is inferior, but it's a little bit more basic. The disc, the DISC, okay? Wherever you fall, if you haven't done your, I don't even know if Artemis has any more slots to do. See, self-discovery is the most important discovery you can have, okay? The self-discovery. And if you haven't met with Artemis one-on-one, you're missing the boat. See, Artemis has been my coach for 4 years. He's the only person that, I mean, I've been coached for 30 years by different people. Started with my uncle coaching me on, man, my uncle's taught me a lot of stuff. And then from there, my coaches have kind of gone up and up. Sorry, uncle, but my coaches have gone up like that. You know what I'm saying? There was a point where my dad could be my coach. But when I started making more money than my father, guess what? He couldn't be my coach anymore. And that was when I was about 25. I was making more money than my dad. So guess what? You're unqualified to coach me at this point. You know, in that arena, he could coach me on other things, but not on money. And the first part of my life, it was all about how do I make money? And I figured that out. I mastered that. That's done. Check, easy. I don't have to focus on it, you know? And so that's where I'm taking all of you guys as well. So you have to lead generate, or you should lead generate around your personality profile. So if you've got, Artemis, I know you've got a handy profile chart somewhere you can pull up real quick.
Yeah, you want me to do a screen share?
Yeah, just do a screen share real quick. I'm gonna share with them around this.
Cool. Yeah, I'll do a screen share. You talk over it.
Yeah, and so the reason why I say this, guys, is because so many people I find they say, there it is. They say, man, I don't have fun lead generating. I don't like making calls. Well, who told you to make calls? I didn't tell you to make calls. I was talking to a guy this week, last week, and I'm going to interview him. He's a real estate agent, and this year he's already done over 60 deals, or he's on track to do 60 deals. He's 26 years old, and he's never made a phone call. He doesn't make any phone calls. And I'm like, man, what are you doing? So he just explained to me, I mean, he does everything on, he uses Instagram. He does the old school and the new school. He uses Messenger and all these other features, but he doesn't like making phone calls. So, and he thinks they're inefficient, which I agree in these times of day. So let's say you're, Artemis can speak more intelligently on these different profiles, but I'll say if you're a creator, okay, a creator could be a person, or a star would be a person out there doing a podcast, doing YouTube, doing things that really, now everybody should be doing that, but a creator would go nuts with it. Okay, it's not naturally gifted. Now, if a person is more of a lord, a steel mechanic, they're going to be more into multiplying, and they're going to create business behind the scenes more. I think of a person like, for example, Lance Loken, who he himself doesn't work. He doesn't actually go on meetings with people because that's not his strong suit. His strong suit is building the business. And then he sends the stars, okay, his listing agents and his buyer agents, he sends those out to do his dealings for him. Now, when you think about it, the Lord of the manor, okay, didn't always have to be the one to go out and collect rents. In fact, it was probably very rare that the Lord himself would go collect rents. But he would, if he was smart, he'd send a creator or a star out there to do it. Okay. Now your deal maker, that might be somebody that's more lawyerly, okay, and is able to just make things happen. I've got a deal maker on my team right now. This guy brings me deals that are just like, dude, how I ask myself, why can't I do that? Well, I tell you why you can't do it, Knolly, because it's not in your zone of genius. That's why you can't do it. You weren't tooled to do this, okay? And if you will adopt, this is the last thing I'm gonna say on this, if you will adopt your lead generation techniques around your profile, now guess what we've just done? We've made it easy and we made it fun. Why? Because we're doing what we love. Any thoughts from you on this, Artemis?
Yeah, I really like, you did a great job, Knolly, by the way, because Knolly has not studied this as in depth as I have, but really it's more about, introvert, extrovert. So like how we feel in lead generation really can be broken down into two pillars, introvert, extrovert. So the introvert is more systems and letters and numbers and texting and automation, whereas the extrovert's more people and places and variety and fun. And so the person that has more blaze genius in their profile, remember we have all four profiles as in each individual. We hold all four energies, but just one is most dominant. So for most dominant on the blaze frequency, it has the highest percentage, then that's going to be people and calls and connections and face-to-face and open houses and stuff like that. But if we're more introvert, this is going to be like, hey, I don't need to talk to him as much. Let me just create the email, the text, the system, the automation. So like for Knolly, for example, when he 2 to 3 years into the business, he'd already replaced himself with a virtual assistant, a transaction coordinator, an agent to go put out signs and open lock boxes. And so what did he do as a steel genius? He replaced himself and built systems around him so that he could multiply more of his success. And so his lead generation was still leaning into that multiplication systems, letters, numbers, left brain dominant. Blaze genius, though, right brain dominant. We don't need to focus all our attention on people to scale our business. We just need more people interaction to feel and flow. Um, and so that's kind of another way of looking at that introvert, extrovert, left brain, right brain. And so like when you lean into your lead generation that's right for your profile, you may have to unlearn some things. That's the big problem, is that we've been lead generating the way our broker told us to, or the way the guru told us to, and we think that's the right way. And so we've tried to build these neural pathways against our zone of genius. And so some of you may need a flow consultation with me. We may need to do some emotional healing and some repatterning so that you can unlearn what you've learned and then regroove, rewire, revise, renounce, rename your zone of genius, and then get into that new neural pathway. So just know that even when you learn your optimal fun way of lead generation, it doesn't mean it's easy for you to do if you have been told another way that's against it. And so give you the principle of what I'm saying here: mentor, get a mentor. Number two, give yourself time to get into flow and to enjoy your business, and to, you may have to unlearn some things and give yourself 30 to 60 days to really start to feel that fun. Because like Uncle Knolly and Artemis Prime said, well, it's supposed to be fun this way, but your old patterns are trying to reboot themselves, so we have to kind of dissolve those patterns, and that takes 30 to 60 days, and then it'll be fun. And I just want to throw that in there, Knolly, because that's an important principle about lead generation and developing new healthy neural pathways.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's really good. I feel like if I'm not having fun with it, why bother? I don't understand. Like, and I get it. I was one of those kids where I thought, everything was just fun and games, and I still do. If I'm not having fun with it, you might as well. I mean, I'm not telling people to check out of life, but most people have checked out of life. Most people are zombies. They're not living their purpose. If you didn't come here, and by the way, scripture is very clear that there's going to be reward. Scripture, Jesus says in Revelation, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give to everyone according to what his work will be. Okay, that's what scripture says. And so we're rewarded for the obedience that we take with around the gifts that we have. Scripture is very clear also that we all have a different measure of gifts. Okay, and so scripture also says, let not many of you desire to become teachers. And I became a teacher at 18 years old. I was like, do I just have sucker on my forehead or what? Scripture is very clear that you shouldn't desire to become a teacher. Why? Because to whom much is given, much more is required. I don't know if you guys realize this, but people like Artemis and myself are going to have a bigger, we have to answer to
a bigger responsibility.
Bigger responsibility. Yeah, we're answerable. We're answerable to an almighty God for the actions that we are taking right now in this lifetime. So let's get to a couple of the questions. Sherry saying, I want the next step. I get leads, but I fail with the follow-up. So what I'll say to you, Sherry, is that the fortune is in the follow-up. Write that down. If you don't follow up with people, you're losing half your fortune. And by the way, if you suck at follow-up, okay, you can become better at it, but you probably is just not your game. Who cares? I've got a good friend that I coached. His name is Andy Green, real estate agent. Andy was making 25 million. He was selling 25 million a year. And I kept telling him, you need to hire somebody to do your follow-up for you. Oh, no, I'm gonna do the follow-up. I understand. I should be doing it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. It's very important. I'm gonna do it. I said, dude, just hire somebody, man. You can get a VA, pay them for 4 hours a day to do your follow-up for you. You don't have to do it. No, I'm good. I can do it. Well, finally, Andy realized that he was never going to do it. You've been talking about doing this for 2, 3, 4 years. You ain't going to do it. Just hire somebody. Okay. And so he hired a VA. He paid, $6 an hour, $7 an hour, whatever it was. And it doubled his business. So within 12 months, he was doing 50 million. instead of 25. Why? Because all of that production that he did not follow up with. Why? Because he sucked at follow up. And a lot of stars, that's what they just suck at. They're into the now business. Oh, you want to do in 6 months? You know, they're not going to follow up with you in 6 months. Come on, you know? So there are people that's what they specialize in. I call it Barbara. Barbara was my gal. And I say, hey, Barbara, call this guy in 6 months. He's going to be ready then. In fact, call him in 5 months because he said he'd be ready in 6, or call him in 4. She put it on her calendar to get done. When it was ready to hand back to me, you know. So if you're not going to do the follow-up, just hire somebody to do it. It's super easy. That's how you,
Another thing that may hold us back from lead generation is the discipline of it. We have to get through like the feeling of this is hard, or I can't, or I choose to, I'm willing to do this. We go through all these different emotions. And I think next week I'll teach the scale of emotional harmonics as it relates to leadership.
Oh, that's big right there. That's big.
Yeah. It's time for us to get some emotional intelligence instruction about, you know, what are the blocks in front of us? And when you can name a thing, you have power over that thing. When you can name apathy, you can care. When you can name grief, you can find your joy. When you name fear, you can have faith. And the discipline of lead generation is natural to a steel genius, but not so much to a blaze genius. Yeah. And so we need different countermeasures. We need different systems and structures around us. And one of the most important structures to consistency in your lead generation is accountability. And that's why we create the accountability partner program for lead generation, writing down your hours you do every day. And you know, as a blaze star, this has been really important for me, and it's made me more successful. But then we also have like the consistency, write these 3 words down: loving self-discipline. Loving self-discipline. Don't do the discipline of lead generation because you have to. Do it because you love to. Pour your love into your discipline. Pour the love over yourself. And the love is connected to purpose and passion in your why. And so some of you will need to build that discipline. Some of you may have been doing too much lead generation every day. So you may need to pull back to 2 hours a day and start creating more processes and more leverage. Yeah. You know, so everyone's at a different place, and yet it's the loving discipline. And the final thing I'll add about that loving discipline is Knolly, 30 years later, after mastering this up 4 levels. I mean, Knolly is a green level lord in Wealth Dynamics. So Knolly teaches multiple dimensions of consciousness in business. And so sometimes I have to pull the reins a little bit, like, you know, because he's such a high level, but he has so many systems to provide us as a lord. And yet, when we're down here at red and orange and yellow, do we ever stop lead generating, Knolly?
Never.
Yeah, and why is that?
Well, you never want to take your foot off the lead generation pedal. Why? Because when you do that, what you're doing is you're limiting your business. See, you're limiting you're limiting you see, your business is not you. Okay, your business is, just think of it as a separate entity, and it wants to become. That's why I call it an it. Probably should come up with a better word for that. But you don't limit how big your business wants to grow. Now, you might only want to grow to here, but your business may want to grow to there. Okay, and when you take your foot off the lead generation pedal, you become the limiter of your own business. By the way, the other thing is, whenever because some of you guys get, oh, I got too much business, as if that's a real thing. There's no such thing as that. Oh, Knolly, I got too much business.
Wait a minute, there's no such thing as too much business. You just basically told us why we never stop lead generating. It's because there's always room for more business, right? Especially when you have created the leverage.
I mean, do you think that Hershey candy bar is like, oh, we're selling too many candy bars? I mean, there's no such thing. Like and this is the way a Lord thinks, is if you have a factory, damn it, let's expand this thing. We're getting orders. Let's go. Right now, there's a shortage on bicycles. You cannot find a bike you go all through Austin, you can't find one. Why? Because people are trying to, what's this thing they call the quarantine 15, where people are gaining 15 pounds and, you know, I'm not trying to gain no 15 pounds. This is lean. This is Knolly over here. You know, I'm not. So anyway, Artemis and I probably lost weight during this. But the thing is, so what Artemis is talking about, he wants to take you guys to this. This is called this is by Dr. Joseph Murphy, something that was actually shown to him.
Dr. David Hawkins, yeah.
I mean, David Hawkins, yeah. And from letting go, he introduced it in Power versus Force, but this is a powerful, powerful tool that Artemis says he's ready to unleash on you guys. We'll see. We'll see. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's time. I mean, it's, we're giving you this in tiny bites. And for those of you who are brand new, go to Knolly.com, join our private Facebook group, get plugged into some of our success mastery systems, go to the YouTube channel, check out some of the previous recordings of what we've done here. And the reason, a little sneak peek of next Thursday on the scale of emotions is because emotional intelligence is one of the most important skills you will cultivate in success, period. And emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, comprehend, and express what you feel in any situation or circumstance. Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, comprehend, and harmoniously express what you feel in any environment or circumstance. And when you don't know what you're feeling and you're self-sabotaging based on those feelings, you hold back success. And so there's actually a scale of emotional harmonics. Now, Knolly showed Dr. Hawkins' scale, which is the most advanced scale. I'm going to be teaching a simplified version of that for all newbies, because both work to help you grow in success. And I'm not just talking about more money, guys. I'm talking about passion, purpose, partnerships, more than enough time, amazing people around you all the time, fulfillment, happiness, and joy in your business. The money is a byproduct of emotional intelligence.
Yeah. And when you have true emotional intelligence, that's when you have true choice. That's when you're in the middle of a situation, you said, okay, how am I going to choose to feel about this? This is what's happening. Somebody just rear-ended me. How am I going to choose to feel about that? And I say, you know what? Let me make a higher choice. I choose to, and so you have more choice. Otherwise, you're just a computer program that's just running. If you don't have that, yeah.
One of the things about our emotions is they don't make sense.
Right.
They're not rational. And so speaking of wealth dynamics, like introvert, extrovert, steel, blaze, the steel geniuses process and identify their emotions in a different way than the blaze geniuses. And yet we all need a map. And the map is what I'm going to teach next Thursday, so that we can understand, when you know where you are in consciousness, when you can name that thing, you have power over that thing. And you can take each level in the emotional scale and you can move up scale, or you can move down scale. Yeah. And as you start to know where you are on the map, and you start to use tools, and the tools are what we're going to bring into our retreats, because it's difficult for me to teach the tools into groups unless we're really in a mastermind where it's focused. But when you have the map and you have tools, you can transform any limiting belief and emotion at will, and you can grow 10 times faster with less resistance. And that's the value of emotional intelligence in business. And every one of us is at a different level of emotional intelligence. And I'm a master at this. Like, I have mastered this over 20 years. I've served over 40,000 people. I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. So I've learned how to translate emotional intelligence into business and leadership. And it's just going to be a powerful class. So tell your friends, come one, come all. Next Thursday, we'll be teaching the scale of emotional harmonics and how to overcome any limiting block, belief system, attitude, judgment, so you can succeed and thrive in your business. And most importantly, have your map in front of you. We all have emotions. We're all growing in our emotional intelligence. It doesn't matter how much money or success or people we get in our life, we still get to grow and develop this emotional intelligence.
Lolly Ann said, and this might be an old message. Lolly Ann said, hey, you never said how to make it fun. The way you make it fun, Lolly Ann, is you work within your zone of genius. Okay, that's how you make it fun and effortless. Not just fun, but effortless. You're working within your zone of genius. If you're a fish, where should you be? In the water. If you're a squirrel, where should you be? In a tree.
In the trees.
Yeah. Now, a tree, if you put a squirrel in the ocean, it's not going to do too well. If you put a fish in the tree, on a tree, it's not going to do so well. It's not going to thrive. You thrive by being in the right environment that supports who you are. Okay. And that's what makes it fun. It's absolutely fun, because when you're working in in your genius, you're doing what you love to do because you're wired to do it. So that's that.
One of the things I love about you, Knolly, is that you pick that up intuitively
Yeah.
because when you were doing your real estate career and building 1,000 deals over 10 years, you just intuitively knew to say no to this and yes to this. Even before you mastered the disc profile and now wealth dynamics,
Right.
you were very intuitive in that process. And back 15 years ago, it was a different world then. Now I think with all the social media, smartphones, and distractions, I think it's more challenging because there's so much information coming in that we tend to stay distracted. And so that's why it's helpful to have a little bit of clarity, like a flow consultation. For those of you who want to do a flow consult with me, I'll put the link in the chat, artemisprime.com, ARTTEMIS, prime.com.
I've told them the story before. I'll say it again real quick. About my second year in the business, I realized that it wasn't fun anymore. My business wasn't fun. And so I said, man, I got to make this fun again. And so what I did was I wrote down every single thing that I do in business, and I rated it from a 1 to 5. I still have the paper in the attic. I kept it. So I put up signs and lock boxes. That's a 1. I like 1 means I hate it, 5 means I love it. And so I wrote every single thing that I do in this business. And I still do this to this day, by the way, but I rated it from a scale of 1 to 5. And if it wasn't a 4 and 5 or 5 for me, I wasn't going to do it, period. It was off my plate. And so that's a simplified way of putting it. And it's my coach, even at the time, he said, man, Knolly, you live in a bubble. I was like, yeah, you're right. I do live in a bubble. I create the world that I want to live in. I'm the one that chose to come here. I was not.
Knolly, what's the best way to predict the future? Create it.
Create the future. Absolutely.
Create the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so even to this day, I have systems where I color code everything that you see that's coded is stuff that I don't want to do. So I just have other people do it. And guess what? The kind of people that I hire to do that, they're the kind of people that love doing that. Like there's people that love numbers. They go to school for 8 years. We call them accountants. Okay. Some of you guys don't love numbers, but I guarantee you there's people that do. And so for everything you don't like doing, there's somebody that loves to do it. Yeah. It's called Zone of Genius.
And really the first step for all of you watching is self-awareness.
Yeah.
And then the second step is self-mastery.
Yeah.
And the third step is self-expression. Yeah. And this is the teachings of wealth dynamics. It's like just become really aware. Now, some of you have had a flow consultation and maybe you haven't really listened to the Millionaire Master Plan. Some of you have had a flow consultation, listened to the Millionaire Master Plan, started saying no to the things that aren't your zone of genius for a year. And now you're self-aware. So self-awareness doesn't just happen in one session. It happens in the practice and the discipline, the loving discipline. So keep in mind, like Knolly had a couple years and then he was getting into the game. So what do we do from this training today? We make the commitment to do 2 hours a day of lead generation every day in our zone of genius. And we build that muscle and we just start there. And that's the most important discipline for every entrepreneur. And it really, Knolly, when I started my real estate business, in March during COVID, I struggled with lead gen at first until I got an accountability partner, until I started writing it down. So I started holding myself accountable. And then I realized that I needed to do 2 hours a day, but do it 1 hour here and 1 hour there and have a little bit of variety in the middle. So I still get 2 hours a day, but I just split up in the middle and that's what worked for me, and yet I do 2 hours a day every day and I'm recording it and I'm doing the 2. And it took me about 3 months to get the discipline. And during those 3 months of practice, deals started coming in, a pipeline revealed itself. And so as you do your lead generation, be loving in your discipline, and then you'll notice that the call compels the answer.
Yeah.
The call with loving discipline compels the answer, and deals and clients will come in. The call, writing every day, calling every day, texting every day, emailing every day, building passion, building purpose, that vibration goes out there and then it pulls in the deals. And sometimes the deals will come from off your radar.
Yeah.
And then that's the beauty of lead generation discipline with love, passion, and purpose, is that you will begin to pull deals through your SOI, through I mean, there's so many miracles are happening when we're just watering the seed. So what's the principle of this part of class is do the 2, 5 days a week, every month, every year. And that starts to build that vibrational momentum. And then the how will reveal itself. Things will start to show up, not just deals, but other leverage points, mentors, systems. And all of this is acting in your business right now. It's just important for you to understand the principle that with loving discipline, with power, duration, and intensity, like Kevin says in Your Wish is Your Command, with the building up that vibration of loving discipline, backed by your zone of genius, backed by your purpose, backed by your passion, now you start becoming magnetic for your good, magnetic for deals, magnetic for clients.
Absolutely. So,
Yes.
so just a couple more comments. I know we're at the end of our time. Some of you guys do need to jump off. Zion had a great testimony. He says, I can testify that working with Artemis has helped me to step out of patterns of hiding, shame, blame, self-sabotage, and into a lighthearted, courageous, confident leadership as I act through my zone of genius in service to humanity. Man, that's beautiful, Zion. That is great. So that's a testimonial for you, Artemis. I don't see any testimonies for me, but here, Sherry says, I have 10,000 systems. It's overwhelming. I build a new system each day. I get lost in my own process. What I'll say, Sherry, there are 10,000 or 10 million systems out there. It doesn't matter. Just pick the one that works for you. You don't need 10,000. You need one. And those of us that are succeeding at a high level, whether it be financially or otherwise, we're masters of simplicity. Okay, simplicity is the name of the game there. And then Sherry says, how do I find an assistant? I did a YouTube video. Just go search for it. It's called How to Hire an Administrative Assistant. I spent 1 hour teaching you how to do that, and you can watch that video.
So Knolly, Mrs. Dawn says, Knolly, I love how you give. You are my real estate hero.
Thank you, Ms. Dawn. Oh, she's showing some love to me. All right, appreciate that. Okay, so that's it, guys. Let me in closing, what I want to do is I just want to reiterate these 5. This is my slide deck for today, by the way, if you can see this. I write it on the back of my neat little mentorship master's card. So number 1, lead gen is your number 1 skill. Okay, just recapping. What did we learn today? Lead gen is your number 1 skill that you can master in business, period. Number 1. The second thing, become famous, do the 2, and get a mentor. Those are the 3 foundational elements that if you're not doing those things, that's what we started from day 1 teaching you. Go back and watch all those classes because there's 3 hours of classes on each of those 3 things. The third thing we talked about today is the 3 activities of lead gen. If you don't remember what they are, rewind this because it's soon to be a video. If you're watching a video right now, rewind and go back. There's 3 activities that you should be doing while you lead generate. Number 4, most people get bogged down in the how. That is not going to be you because anytime some how comes to mind, just dismiss it. Okay. Now, ultimately, you have to understand the how of the specificity that you choose, but don't worry about that right now. And the 5th thing we talked about was to make it fun and effective and effortless. You must lead generate to your personality profile. Otherwise, you're doing things that are like if I say, "Hey, go knock on doors," and that's not your zone. I mean, what I'm asking you to do is so outside of your zone of genius that ultimately you'll quit. Ultimately, you'll give up. And that's what most people do. That's why they're not successful because most people quit. And so what I want to do is not get you, I want you to not quit. I want you to keep going to the success that you deserve. So that's our call for today. I love each and every one of you. That's why we do this because we love you. This is our gift to humanity and mankind, our service. And so you can unmute yourself, say goodbye, adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks a bunch. We appreciate
Do
you.
the 2, do the 2, do the 2.
Great week.
Thanks, Knolly and Artemis. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Artemis, they're like, man, y'all make it sound so easy. It is.